functional biomedical device prototypes, creation of a pool of medtech innovators. She's actively involved in formulating various legislations of the biotech sector. She's the nodal officer for the management of COVID-19 related activities and also contributing towards Atmanirbhar Bharat by establishing the National Biotech Resource Indigenization Consortium. She's also a representative of the DBT in the Inter-Academy panel. Dr. Pratibha Jolly is an eminent physicist who served as the principal of Miranda House College for Women at the University of Delhi for 14 years. Under her dynamic leadership, the college received the All India Rank 1 under NIRF, a feat sustained for 5 years. Dr. Jolly is currently leading the development of GATI, which stands for the Gender Advancement for Transforming Institutions, Self-Assessment Framework, resources and guidance as the principal investigator of this novel pilot project launched by the Department of Science and Technology. She was awarded the IUPAP ICPE Medal 2019 for distinguished services to physics education with international impact. She was also the co-chair of the thematic group on education for development of the National Science, Technology and Innovation Policy 2020. She is a distinguished fellow of the National Academy of Sciences and Institute of Physics, UK. Currently, she is with National Assessment and Accreditation Council, the NAC, as an academic consultant. I hand over the stage to the two chairs.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. It's my pleasure to welcome you all for today's event. This is the fourth session of the event. Since morning we are hearing, and the most important is that we are having this today on the occasion of International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Respected Manju Sharma ma'am and Dr. Renu Sarup, Dr. Shubhra Chakravarti, all the panelists here, and I can see many morning also the dais was full of eminent experts. So the topic of this session is very appropriate with the current scenario, that is sharing the entrepreneurial journey by young women entrepreneurs. And if you really see, and my colleague here, Dr. Pratibha Jolly, former principal Miranda House, University of Delhi, and now distinguished speakers from various interested and important steps. So we have three speakers in this session, and if you really see their CVs, they are the experts who actually now share with you their inspirational journey, and they motivate you that how entrepreneurship taken up forward. Because in STEM, we actually, right from the beginning, if you really see, we support, promote research and development. When it comes to entrepreneurship, there's not an easy path to take. So now the scenario which we are going to discuss, and all the three experts will share with you. So I'm just sharing with you that what exactly is the opportunities are there. Very briefly, I will just tell you from the government side also, and also the opportunity which are available for young crowd, which you all actually, maybe many of you may be thinking about it. So that will be very hopeful, helpful for you. So this, as you all know, that women have already, since morning we heard from respected ma'am, Manju Sharma ma'am, and other eminent people on the dais, that 50% almost that we are, combination we have, where many of them, the UNESCO report and all says that 43% of the STEM graduates are women in India, and which is one of the highest number in the world. However, only the modest number pursue career in this field. And even after having that career also, there are reasons because of that the number is going down. So in the current scenario now, they just need to think about changes to bring out, to support and promote women, especially women entrepreneurs in the country, which is need of the hour. And over the years, the government has recognized the challenges and making efforts in an integrated way to provide opportunities to women entrepreneurs. And if you talk about biotechnology sectors, many of you may be aware that various schemes have been launched by the government. They are in place. And also the BIREC has dedicated scheme for promoting, supporting, nurturing women entrepreneurs across the country. And they have dedicated park also, which is there are 3 incubators which have been set up by the BIREC across the country dedicated to women entrepreneurs. So continuous efforts are being made to promote and support early, mid, and late career and career for women. And also the DBT and DST have a specific schemes. I'm not going in detail in just to share with you, but the details are available on their websites. And because of we should give time to the speakers to tell their journey and just share that what kind of excitement, challenges they had to reach to this stage where they are. Last year, we actually organized that Biotech Startup Expo, which Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated when I was serving as MD Biotech. And there, our Honorable Minister also launched compendium of 75 biotech entrepreneurs. Details are there in Biotech and also on the website. If you want to know on the details about each entrepreneurs, that you can just go through that report. And also that in today's growth, what we have in bioeconomy and women entrepreneurs is especially that from the STEM sector, they are playing role, but we have to go ahead and we have to just see that how this can be enhanced further. So with this background, it's now time to hear and hear from our speakers. But before that, I would like to hand over mic to my colleague, if she would like to say something, or we can just start with the presentation from the speakers. So Dr. Kavita.
Good afternoon. It's so nice to have you all back. And dovetailing on a brilliant session just before lunch, we already have a flavor of the case, some great achievers and the overarching framework. So with that, we invite Dr. Kavita Rodriguez, if she's here.
So Dr. Kavita, may I invite you for the first presentation?
Are you able to hear me?
Okay. Thank you for joining us online. Dr. Kavita is a CEO of Jupiter Biologics, and she is in this space for the last 20 years in the space of biotechnology, and she is MS in clinical microbiology and MBA from IIM Bangalore, and backed by industry experience of 12 years, she combines deep domain expertise with strong business skills. She has worked across larger biopharmas like Biocon, Millipore before her first startup in BioPro, and held key posts in R&D, quality control, and process development. And she is also on the ET list of 40 under 40 in 2017 among the top 5 finalists in the startup category and recipient of Women in Technology. Top 20 in India in 2018, and also recipient of Entrepreneurship of Year 2020 Biospectrum. So with this introduction, we invite Dr. Kavita to share her views with all of us. Dr. Kavita, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me in this panel. It's been a wonderful day where it started with introductions and very good, encouraging thoughts that were shared in the morning. Thank you so much. I think this is an extremely important and pivotal day for us as this portal gets launched, and the kind of focus that we have with Entrepreneurship One, and of course, women entrepreneurs in focus, especially on this panel. I think given the kind of let's say the context of this discussion with regard to kind of focus with women in STEM, and of course the next step being women in startups or starting out an entrepreneurial journey, I think in India we have come a long while, and I think it's been also with the support of not only the government but also smaller ecosystems that have been formed across multiple cities. I'm in Bangalore, and so I can speak well of the Bangalore cluster and the startup ecosystem, which is thriving really well because of the support of multiple factors. One is, I think it's the academia, nexus along with the investors. The next is how the DBT, which has in all its, kind of various chapters, so to speak, which has supported startups. And most importantly, the chapters that have supported startups, especially the women entrepreneurs, in multiple rounds and in multiple arenas, is much appreciated. I have been one of the cohorts in Zomator to have incubated at CCAMP, and it's been an amazing journey thus far. Just to give you a little bit of an introduction to Zomator, Zomator is an immuno-oncology company. We started all the way back in 2013. Today, we have a lead candidate which is going into clinical trials in the US. We have VC funded. We have 25 people here in Bangalore and another 6 people in the US. That's just to give you an idea. Back to you.
So thank you, Dr. Kavita, for sharing that your journey so far. And then CCAMP is also again a DBT supported the enterprise, and also the Bangalore BioCluster, which you mentioned, that just for the information of this audience, that Bangalore actually, that's a hub of the academia, industry, startups. So the Department of Biotechnology has supported Bangalore BioCluster long back, maybe 8 years back. And there now everybody is working together under the umbrella of Bangalore BioCluster, even and though they have their freedom to operate their own invention and also the R&D activities. So I'm so happy to see Dr. Kavita that she has that big group, and she has also taken her outcome outside India also. And we actually, maybe you can share a little bit further about your products, and also what kind of challenges you faced when you started your journey and reaching up to this stage, and what is your message to the young audience here that would be, I think, very, very helpful to them. Over to you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for those words, encouraging words. It has been a tough journey, and I think most startup journeys are never easy. It's so a little bit about Zomator, a little more details about Zomator. We started off as a platform company, basically an antibody discovery platform company, which then would generate the assets. Which currently we have 3 assets, and the lead asset or the lead candidate, it is what is getting into clinical trials. I think when we started, and just as you mentioned rightly, Dr. Sharma, we started off at a time and a cusp where things were evolving in India, right? The whole culture of startups, the whole culture of what it would take and the risk that it would take to fund startups, etc., was evolving. I think today we have reached I want to say a mature phase where a thought or ideas that are incubated in an academic setup can be confidently put forth amidst multiple chapters that are available, within the DBT and within the larger ecosystem, and then, come forward. So a couple of things that we went through, just to mention, right, is that first we had to, we knew that anything in biotech is long term. It takes a long time by means of outcomes, especially if it's going to be a product journey. The second part of it was it definitely requires monies, and it requires large quantum of monies to be available up ahead of milestones being covered. These 2 were important pieces that needed to be covered. The third, I think, which is reasonably simpler than the other 2, were availability of talent. Here, I think we were very fortunate, since we also came from industry, to have peers who recommended multiple people who came across either from industry or from a PhD postdoc or from outside of India and were ready to kind of join us. So those are the 3 constructs that came together in a startup. And I think the way it also evolved was we were nurtured well, mentored well. And I think that started off for us, it was a journey at CCAMP, and that started well. And, Dr. Swaroop was really involved in how, I was mentored in going forward in my journey too. A couple of things I think that could have gone right. And if I had to look back and say if the journey could have been either, cut short by a couple of, periods of time, or it could have been easier, was, the availability of capital within the biotech ecosystem, right? That has always been a challenge. And I think that challenge has been put forth and has been addressed by multiple players in the space. in the context of this panel, and especially with women in technology being in focus here, I think it, and this has also been mentioned by the esteemed speakers in the morning, I think we've come a far away. We definitely have some space to go. I think we do stand on the shoulders of giants, and I think that if we did what it took to come here, it's going to be a journey worth it for others who want to enter the space, especially the women in the space. And we and I want to say, I have spoken to multiple women who are either, kind of, either their careers are tapering because they're taking a break because of personal reasons, or they're just starting off a fledgling career. I think the space of biotechnology is large, and I think today, now is the right time and the right ecosystem to stay in this space. So we in Zomotor have encouraged a lot of internships. We have also encouraged a lot of academia industry, liaison, which also helps discover, even for candidates who want to come into this space, what would it be like to be in it. So this kind of covers it. Thank you, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kavita. So we all agree with you that this is the right time to come forward with the ideas, and then also maybe to take your idea forward, that anyone can think of new idea. There are opportunities available with all of you, but if you really talk about a decade back, there was no ecosystem, that kind of thing to support the invention or the kind of proof of concept. And what the message actually she tried to give, that is a long gestation period in biotech. But yes, if you are committed towards your product and also just to take your findings, research findings further, there are schemes, programs available, and BIREC is the main actually in biotech who can support your proof that initial leads with a proof of concept and a seed money. The second is there's no shortcut to hard work, and that is it takes time, but now the scenario is completely changed, and there are more than 75 bioincubators across the country, which are acting as a lending space for startups, biotech startups. So as you know, that is not the routine R&D projects, so nature of project may be different. So you have to just click the button on the BIREC website, and you will get the details of all BioNest across the country, depending on your interest area, agriculture, biomedical devices, and maybe any kind of diagnostics that you people are thinking. And then there are actually long list of domain specific areas. You can just see that where you can go, to whom to contact, what is the number, and also there is a portal where if you want to utilize the services of large equipments, so that is all available on the website. You have to just click the button and you will get that entire information on the portal, and you can contact the coordinator and use that facility. It's not that for each and everything you have to create the facility infrastructure, then only you can start your work. Earlier that was the practice, and now everything has been brought under this umbrella of infrastructure facility created for public-private partnership. So I just wanted to mention all these things may not be written on the website this way, but just to give a clear picture, what Dr. Kavita is also sharing with us, that there are challenges, but those challenges can be dealt with the kind of resources, facilities, mentorship, nurturing we have in the country now for women entrepreneurs. Over.
Thank you.
I think since we're running short on time, we will move on to the next talk. But Dr. Kavita, you are a marathon runner, and you're much awarded. And entrepreneurship is all about, sticking it out till the end. So thank you for being such a great role model and the Entrepreneur of the Year for 2020. So in interest of time, we move on to the next speaker, Dr. Esbel Sobian. And she serves as the CEO of String Bio Private Limited in Bangalore again. And this is one of the world leaders in gas fermentation, and enables biomanufacturing of sustainable ingredients from greenhouse gases for sectors fundamental to living, including food, agriculture, environment. And its vision is to redefine manufacturing and make sustainability market very, very relevant. So we look forward to hearing from Dr. Esbel now. And in particular, her key role in bio-based product innovation at early stage companies in the Silicon Valley ecosystem. So you bring in a very rich experience, which is global in nature. And we look forward now to learning from you how technology can be leveraged and how you succeed in this startup space. Thank you. We can't hear you properly.
Hear me okay?
Little
Yes.
sound? Yes.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me as part of the conversation today. I think fantastic event overall, an effort to actually bring more women into the technology space. Thank you, Dr. Jolly, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Swaroop, and others in the room. I thought I'll take 10 minutes to perhaps just talk a little bit about the work that we're doing at String, and then talk about some of the personal lessons, learnings that I've had, largely in terms of trying to bring more women into the workspace at String. And then I can open it up for questions. Would that be okay? I have a couple of slides that I thought I'll share with the audience today.
So this is not an interactive session, and we'd like you to weave in your experiences and what you
Okay.
would really want as a message to the young population here. Yeah.
Sure, sure. If it's okay, I've got a few slides. Can I go ahead and share it right
Yes,
now?
please go ahead.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, okay. Hi, thank you. As Dr. Jolly mentioned, some of the work that we do at String is, is pretty much in deep tech, leveraging biology to bring a new category of products to market. I'll just take 5 minutes to talk very quickly about the work that we've done, the technology innovation that we've been able to build, and the category of products that we are bringing to market using our technology. And before I go into this, I have to say I echo some of the words that Dr. Kavita mentioned in terms of how much we've been able to leverage some of the key levers in our ecosystem, whether it is funding from BIRAC, incubators, CCAMP, BBC, other incubators, mentors in the ecosystem that have really guided us to where String is today. So one of the core areas of focus for us at String has been to see how to provide food for growing food consumer demand while addressing the environmental impact that we've had. So this is where our focus to redefine manufacturing comes in, because essentially what we've done at String is we've enabled a platform wherein we can make what we call our next generation ingredients or inputs that are made or manufactured using greenhouse gases, particularly methane gas as a primary raw material. So for those of you in the room, methane is a very, very potent greenhouse gas. And if you've been listening to the conversation that's been happening globally, particularly post-COP, if we can reduce the emission of methane that we have in the short term, it actually gives us more time to get to net zero overall. So methane emission reduction has been a huge area of global focus right now. And this essentially what we've done at String is we built a platform wherein we can take methane gas, and instead of thinking of it as a waste gas, we use it as an input, a primary source of carbon to bring multiple products to market. So essentially, we are an advanced biomanufacturing company that is able to make sustainable products. These products include crop input products where we've seen significant benefits to the farmer, to the consumer. Another big area of focus is converting methane into proteins That's right. So we convert methane into protein ingredients that can go into the food chain for both humans as well as animals. Now, if you look at this, one of the key benefits that comes out of this is that we're able to, by converting methane to these products, we are able to offset carbon. So one of the other main benefits of this platform is the carbon credits or carbon abatement that we're able to enable through our advanced biomanufacturing process. Right? So what we've been able to do within the Indian ecosystem, leveraging some of the core levers that I talked about, is to build a very strong technology platform to do this conversion. We've today got about 55 patents that cover various aspects of this process. We are one of the only global companies today that has a commercially viable technology to convert biogas, that is methane coming from biogas, into products. These products that I talk about very briefly, if you look at our crop inputs, these result in better income for the farmers. They have value for your processors, whether it is a nutritional value or better processing benefits. They have value for the consumers because these are clean, chemical-free, organic inputs. And as I mentioned, there are significant environmental impacts because of the reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, reduced synthetic fertilizer application that we are able to enable. Now, when you look at our proteins, again, we have benefits when it comes to the feed makers who are our direct customers for our protein. When you talk about further down the value chain, whether it is the farmers themselves or the final consumers or the environment overall, again, with our protein products, there are significant benefits along the value chain. The next big area that I'm very excited about for this year for us, that is 2024, 2025, is protein coming into the food market. Our protein essentially coming from a gas fermentation platform that is coming into the food market. We've been doing a lot of trials with key players in the value chain, and we're going through the regulatory approval for this protein right now. Again, when you look at this protein product, there are significant benefits all across the value chain. So the value creation that we've been able to do at one end is to convert greenhouse gases using our platform into products, and the other end also enable the decarbonization that comes through this. Okay. Where are we today? Well, with the support of the startup ecosystem in India, we've been able to build a first plant in Bangalore. This was built 5 years back. And now today we're in the process of setting up a larger scale commercial manufacturing plant about 50 kilometers north of Bangalore in a place called Tumkur. While we do this, we're also enabling global partnerships, whether it is in Asia Pacific or the US, to be able to set up other commercial manufacturing facilities that will use the string technology platform. And this is being done with global partnerships outside. Given the topic of the discussion, particularly this panel today, I did want to talk a little bit about String's journey so far. As we discussed, when we heard Dr. Kavita's journey, ours also has been a 10-year journey, right? We talk about the products, we talk about where we are today, but like they say, it's been an overnight success that's been 10 years in the making. We started this work in 2014 with a big grant from BIRAC. Again, very supportive of the work that BIRAC's doing in India to support high-risk innovation work. Since then, we've been taking very measured steps to go from a small lab scale design to a demo scale design. And then, as I mentioned, in 2019, we set up a first larger scale pilot facility in Bangalore. We use this facility largely to put our products in the market and validate the products with customers. And then today, we are scaling up the production of this. We've been able to raise funds, capital outside of the grant ecosystem. We've been able to raise capital from strategics as well as financial institutions. And fortunately for us, we've also been able to get a lot of awards, recognitions, both from within the Indian ecosystem as well as from outside of India. One of the recent awards for us has been the Economic Times Most Innovative Startup of the Year award, which I think a few other BIRAC startups have also got. But one of the key differentiators here is most often this goes to information technology based startups. So to have a biotech based startup recognized within the Indian ecosystem was quite commendable. Just very quickly, I want to highlight three things when we talk about the entrepreneurial journey, and this is whether you're male or female. I think the key differentiators for us, if you ask me today, has been the people, a very energized, agile team that we've been able to assemble, young and old, that have come together to actually enable such a technology from within the Indian ecosystem. We've also been able to make some very, very exciting products and test this with global partners. And today, as I mentioned, we're scaling this up with global partners. The journey, of course, has not been easy. There's been lots of ups and downs for us as we've scaled this technology. So I think the third P that I do want to highlight is the perseverance that it takes at each step of the startup journey. And, of course, even for String, we've got a long way to go in terms of being able to drive our growth both within India and in global markets. I did want to highlight what has been a personal challenge for String and women in technology at String. While I've been at the head of String, I've really tried to bring more women into the workforce at String. And one of the big challenges for us has been how to keep women in the workforce post the initial phase. Typically, what happens is it's been very easy for us to hire masters and PhD level, entry level students. But once they get to, let's say, a 3 or 4 year experience, unfortunately, we've had people drop out like flies, right? So when they reach that mid-level phase, I think we really need to figure out how to have a flexible work environment such that we can retain more women in the workforce. The other big challenge that I've seen is that most often women are very comfortable talking about the science, but not as comfortable talking about the business or finance or commercial aspects. Perhaps if we could have more programs to equip women better there, I think that will also help us retain more mid-manager and late-stage career women. And lastly, I think we do want to reach out to more women and really have more people join us, particularly women join us in the String journey. So again, if any of you, from what you've heard, this is of interest, would love to both talk to you to see if you could join String, or could also, if I could help you in your entrepreneurial journey, would be happy to do so as well. Again, I do want to highlight on that third point, I've had significant support, mentorship from other women in the ecosystem, some of whom you've heard today, whether it is Dr. Swaroop, Dr. Dipanvita, and others. So that's been a big pat on the back for myself. I'll stop with that, Dr. Jolly and Dr. Sharma, and take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Aizil, to share with us your exciting and challenging journey this more than a decade now, and also contribution made by BIRAC, and the way actually you have taken along with you the entire team is remarkable to see that. And the technologies which you are talking about, these are futuristic technologies, and you started long back. And now we all are thinking about this, the bio-based products, and also carbon capture and utilization and all. And the Department of Biotechnology for the last 1 year is now had made the initiative just to take biomanufacturing, biofoundry in the country. And I'm happy to share with all of you that this time in budget speech that has been announced by the Finance Minister, Honorable Finance Minister, that biomanufacturing, biofoundry will be the focus of our government, and then the Department of Biotechnology is driving this. And under this umbrella, there's biomanufacturing. We have identified 6 thematic areas, and many of them are just matching with your interest that you people are now as a team you are driving. So basically bio-based products that includes enzymes, APIs, and also chemicals, bio-based chemicals, and functional foods, smart proteins, precision biotherapeutics, that is cell-based therapy, CAR T-cell, gene therapy, monoclonal antibodies, mRNA therapeutics, carbon capture and utilization, climate resilient agriculture, marine and space research. And these all will be now augmented with the biomanufacturing hubs and biofoundries, where the facilities will be created for pilot studies and also the bridging the gap to take the leads to the next level. So basically under three baskets: discovery and network research, bridging the gap, and to take basically is scaling up, and the third is manufacturing and setting up the plants. And many of the things are already happening, but there are not many players in the field. I think with this push, I think many players will come and join your company also, and the government efforts also join hands. And we have conducted 18 brainstorming sessions across the country, national consultation, international interministerial meetings, and also at the highest level also a lot of discussion took place. So I think this is the right time, and the people sitting inside the room may take that lesson from our speakers, particularly in this session, that just to take your ideas further, and the sky is the limit, because there are now opportunity for all of you in various ways, and especially for women entrepreneurs. So over to you, if you anyone, if they can have some no so because of, I think that you have got that kind of sense that what is happening, and then you can contact through email, or maybe you can call her and then get the clarification if you want this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Dr. Sharma. And it's actually quite exciting to see the efforts taken by DBT, whether it is in the area of biomanufacturing, bio-based products. Was really happy to see advanced biomanufacturing be mentioned as part of the interim budget. I think that's big achievement for us to actually get that kind of focus in this area. So very happy to see that.
Thank you, Dr. Sobyan. And now, it is wonderful that your work has been celebrated and recognized with the Women Transforming India Award 2018 by UN and Niti Aayog. I'm sure many young women will take up your offer and sniff their way to your organization. So we now invite Dr. Renuka Diwan, who is a co-founder and chief CEO of BioPrime Agri Solutions, and with a PhD in plant sciences from University of Pune, and a postdoc in genetic engineering in collaboration with Cambia, an Australian company. She has worked extensively on bioactives for more than 13 years, and has tremendous experience in plant tissue culture and design of field and lab tests, and was also a visiting fellow at Institute of Bioinformatics and Biotechnology, and she taught for some time at National Institute of Virology on IPR issues. And her startup journey blends cutting-edge research expertise with transformative leadership in agriculture sector, the most important sector at the moment, and with a lot of breakthrough technologies that are coming through now. And we, Dr. Renuka, are looking forward to your invaluable insights on the innovations and what has been BioPrime's mission of revolutionizing agriculture through biosciences. And I hope that you will weave in your personal story on this journey and your visionary leadership and commitment to sustainability, so that all of us can learn on how you are changing the agricultural landscape. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. First of all, I hope you all are able to hear me. I think it's been an incredible day since the morning, listening to all of the speakers. Very glad to be speaking on the International Day for Women and Girls in Science and Technology. Very important to celebrate and nurture this engagement of women in science and technology. So very happy that this program has been arranged. Congratulations on the launch of the SWATI platform. I think it's one very revolutionary step that has been taken. It's great, primarily it's great because it's important to build a community, and for women in these kind of areas, I think community has been lacking. So really congratulate everybody on this day and the initiative that has been taken. Before I talk about BioPrime, I'd love to share my personal journey in science and technology. I think my love for science was born when my father gifted me a chemistry set at the time when all my girlfriends in the group were getting doll houses. I was very upset. I think it was my 10th birthday. I was very upset because I was anticipating, I think it was Barbie that had just come out. But I cannot thank him enough today because that sparked that interest in science, and it has been so since the beginning. So my interest in science and my nurturing as to be proactive, to take up leadership position has come from a long history of family conditioning. So I think it's very important that we talk about what vital role family plays in early development and attitude framing for the girl child as well, because I think it's our responsibility to give equal kind of background and uh, I think an opportunistic environment for the girl child to take interest into science. I was encouraged to take part in family discussions, whether it was around politics, whether it was around money matters, whether it was around economics. So I've been very fortunate to be born and brought up in that kind of environment. It was my father who always dreamed that I should always start something on my own. I think that's probably what's gotten in terms of entrepreneurship spirit into me. Um, I always was very drawn to agriculture. I saw my grandmother tend to fields. This is extremely rural parts of Solapur. Even today, there is not a direct bus service that goes to the village. So it's such a small part. And probably in 80s, 1980s, she was managing the farm. She was taking leadership position. The entire village, used to look at her from a leadership perspective. And I think that has been something that has stayed with me and has been my inspiration, probably has been the reason for my love into agriculture. The actual jump into entrepreneurship is quite an accidental one, and I really thank Venture Center, which, like CCAMP, is a biotech business incubator. Dr. Premnath and Dr. Monisha literally pushed me into entrepreneurship. I couldn't thank them enough. And Dr. Renu Swaroop and Dr. Satya Prakash Das were the primary people who encouraged agribusiness or agri-related opportunities. I think when we got BIG in 2016, we probably were one of the first agri-biotech companies to be funded. I think previously it was medtech diagnostic devices. So quite, a leadership, I think that BIRAC has taken to support all aspects of, biotechnology. That is quite significant. We got the proof of concept funding. We did some work on making sure that we were developing biologicals. BioPrime was founded in 2016, which, like this year, was a El Nino year. And around Pune, there's like a very progressive farmer belt, and that is where we were experimenting and trying out our solutions. We saw that within a week, there were five temperature spikes, and hundreds and thousands of acres of tomato got completely destroyed. That is what has cemented the idea for BioPrime, that we want to develop technologies that can climate proof the crops for the farmers on a as is, where is basis. So it has to be instantaneous for the farmer. That has led our work into discovery of biomolecules. So we developed a platform for discovery of biomolecules that can basically control processes and plants. We extended the platform to find molecules that can protect the plant against disease pest tolerance as well. While we were doing this, we also realized that it's not just the molecules that will help us take towards sustainable agriculture. And we need microbe and we need to focus on the soil microbiome as well. That is when we started focusing on building a plant-associated microbe library. Today, we have one of the largest plant-associated microbe library in Asia, consisting of 17,700 microbes. Um, Today, we have products into the market which cover an entire gamut from seed treatment, soil enhancement, as well as plant protection, and helping the farmers cut down their input costs, basically making nutrients more effective for the farmers. While doing all of this, we got several helping hands on the way. Once we did our proof of concept, BIRAC also supported us with two follow-on fundings. I'm very happy to say that we were the first company to receive seed fund from BIRAC. We were also the first company to receive LEAP fund from BIRAC. And I'm also very happy to say that we are also the first company to give exit for the seed fund at a 4x, 5x return to BIRAC. So I'm very happy to talk about the progress that has happened over the time. We also got, support from Atal Innovation Mission Niti Aayog to set up our manufacturing facility, and this happened around the COVID time. Otherwise, it would have been very, very difficult to scale up and establish a manufacturing facility that can cater to the industry. So I'm so happy to hear about the biomanufacturing, related program that is coming up. I think it will help several founders and several entrepreneurs accelerate their journey into the ecosystem. So today, with so help from so many different government organizations, we have a capacity to manufacture over 10 lakh liters of active molecules. It's probably the largest manufacturing capacity in the country. When we speak about agri, instantly we realize that it's such a male-dominated industry. Whether you go on the field, you see farmers who are men. And when you're in the boardrooms with corporates, you see that the entire boardroom and the leadership position is also dominated with men. I've faced several instances where I have been probably the only woman in a room of 200 people, but I take that as a positive change. It takes one to start the process. It was quite a shock initially for people to see a woman in agri entrepreneurship leading a business, but I cannot tell you how supportive the entire environment has become. Once people realize that, you have done something really substantial. The industry has opened up incredibly. There have been a lot of mentors that I have from the corporate world who have supported this. And so I, want to highlight this that don't be, what do you say, subdued by, the male dominance in a particular industry. Times are changing and people are actually more supportive. Um, Lastly, I think what I want to say and what's helped me along this entire journey is never thinking for 1 minute about myself as a female entrepreneur or a female scientist. Always think as an entrepreneur or a scientist, never the discrimination. So I've never shied from going to the field, talking to the farmers, doing anything that my male counterpart would have done. And I've always been surprised by the welcome that I have received. Lastly, leaving thoughts for the young people here. One is, first of all, collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. I think we are we get caught up in working in silos. The problems are too huge for any of us to solve by ourselves. If we want to make an impact, and if we want to make an impact in terms of transforming an entire country, we need to join forces. We've always believed in the power of collaboration. It's got us where we are today. don't be shy is my second, suggestion to women. We're often shy. We're often shy for asking raises. We're often shy for asking promotions. We're often shy for asking that key role. Don't be shy. Please be bold. Go ahead. Ask. Uh, you may get turned out, but still, keep on asking. So that's my second suggestion. And the last suggestion, I think, is ask for mentorship. Somehow I've seen that, male founders often get mentorship um, without, having to ask for it. And there's this, cohort that automatically forms, a support groups that automatically forms, which probably is lacking when we talk about female founders. So don't just sit on the edge. Ask, get into that circle, ask for that mentorship, build that circle for yourself, build that circle for other women. Today, I think as we've built the companies to a subsequent level, I wouldn't say a successful company, but at least which has gotten off to a start. I feel that our role right now in the ecosystem is to support other female founders. If we make the journey for the next 10 female founders that much more easier, I think we would have done our job. So with that, I'd like to, pass on the mic to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Renuka Diwan. And there's a new vocabulary, there's a new way of functioning, and what speaks better than success? So your journey will show the paths to others who sometimes are too shy, as you said, to take the first step. But I think that times are changing. They're changing as we blink. And programs such as this and SWATI and our collective efforts will build a new community. And I hope while it's gender aware, it is not gender biased. So with this, we come to a close of the session where we've heard incredible entrepreneurial journeys of these young women. And before we sign off, we applaud Dr. Kavita Rodrigues, Dr. Izil Sobyan, and Dr. Renuka Diwan. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was lovely.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alka and Dr. Pratibha Jolly for conducting this session very well. We now move on to the next session, which is entitled Young Women Achievers in S&T. The session will be chaired by Professor Rohini Godbole. I invite her to please join on the dais, and co-chaired by Professor Shobna Sharma. Ma'am, please come on the dais. Both these personalities need no introduction, and I think I've also done a round of introduction in the morning for Dr. Godbole as well as for Dr. Sharma. So I would just request them to take over and start with this session.
Because we are running desperately long. So this is a great feeling to chair the last, what I would call academic session of this today. So we have 4 talks, and there are 2 talks on physics and 1 talk on biology and 1 talk of chemistry. So my co-chair here will chair the biology and chemistry talks because I don't understand it. And my 2 friends, physics friends, will have to bear my chairing. So first I invite Professor Aditi Sen, who is a professor at the Harishchandra Research Institute and works in the area that is a hot area of quantum technology. Aditi, just come and you can more or less start as soon as I finish in a second. So she has started really the quantum information and computation group with few collaborators at HRI. And she has been a recipient of the Alexander von Humboldt Fellowship, as well as she has spent time in the Photonic Sciences Institute in Barcelona. And she has received the Buti Foundation Award. But the most important, she is the first but another award in physical sciences. In first woman. I mean, that is almost understood, or what I call in Marathi, we call it Adhyara. It's unsaid in today's crowd. So she is a fellow of the Indian Academy of Sciences and the Indian National Academy. So Aditi, you have, you will hear a buzzer, and let's hope that you can finish. So it's a pleasure to.
Hello? Yeah, sorry. Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank for giving me this opportunity. Actually, I'm a bit nervous because I have to give now or say something in front of my role models, whom I have, looking at them, I actually try to understand a bit of science. So, and also best wishes for International Day of Women and Girls in Science. I came from Harishchandra Research Institute, Allahabad, which is now Prayagraj. And we have physics and mathematics division. And number of PhD students, male is to female ratio are like that. So as you have already heard in the entire morning session and afternoon. So as we go above, it's going down. And typically what I found that as also mentioned in the morning session, that after when we talk about master students, the ratio is quite good. Then there are kind of family pressures to get jobs. And so there is a lots of dropout. And if someone wants to really start research career, they require a long time to establish themselves, like 5 years of PhD, then few years of postdoc. And then we actually get kind of two types of dropouts after PhD and then during postdoc and so on. So another thing that I noticed, this is not the buzzer, I guess. So, what I found that as a faculty, what I found that the students, both male and female students, prefer to go to male faculty members. They prefer or they choose, male supervisor. So I tried to find the reason, and what I found that most of the known physicists, since I do physics, or mathematician, or chemist, or biologist, are all male. And so they believe that there is a higher chance to be successful if they actually do PhD under the male faculty members. So they are more confident about the capabilities of the male faculty members than the female one. And I hope that with this launch of SWATI portal, there will be some change. So I just search, and this is today's morning after the launch, that the Indian Express said that will SWATI break old habits. So I hope that when next time we will meet, we will see that the habits have changed and we have some really policy change. With this, I probably will take another maybe 10, 12 minutes, what I do in research. So I work on quantum technologies in short, because now there's kind of time always to make everything short. So I make it like Q-Tech. And so what are they? So in classical world, we know all the appliances that we are using. For example, laptop, in which we are giving talk, mobile phone, internet. Then there are bigger appliances like batteries, refrigerators, transistors, etc. So the idea of us is to make all of them quantum appliances. So with the initial understanding of quantum science, already around 1960, there are first revolution of quantum technology, and where we found the discoveries of transistors, NMR based MRI scans, laser, etc. So, but now we will be talking about second revolution of quantum technologies, where people believe that we are now trying to exhaust quantum properties or quantum features of systems, and we will be able to build certain technologies which will be more efficient than the ones that we are using. So for example, here I make, of course, these are not the exhaustive list. So what we use, like computers, sensors, clocks, simulators, batteries, cryptography or communication, and I put everything in front, quantum. So that's the aim, that we want to build quantum devices or quantum technologies. Now the question is, why should we build? Now this, the general statement is that has potentially deep social impact, and it kind of, we believe that it will revolutionize our technology and the further development of nation. But to convince ourselves, I will briefly tell you why we want to build quantum computer. So this is the computer, the left-hand side, and we want to build the quantum version of it. And to illustrate that, or to convince you, or to give you the flavor why we want to build quantum computer, let's consider a problem that I have an 8-digit number, and I have to find out prime factors of it. This is actually a problem in school level, right? And we can find it when the digit is 8. But when I give you a 35-digit number, whether you will be able to find efficiently all the prime factors or not. Now, classically available algorithms can give this answer in 130 seconds. And this is true. I mean, this one can perform and find out. Now, if we increase the number of digits, say, for example, 82 to 120, then you will see that it will take 1.1 year in general to 2,100 years. Actually, almost, if you go on increasing, it will take almost the universe time. So it just shows that to factor an n-digit number, an algorithm in our computer. Now here, I do not want to say only in my computer like this, this laptop, but any powerful computer in the world. So by that computer, it will take huge time. And if I want to be more precise, then it will be, with the increase of number of digits, it will be, the time taken will increase exponentially. On the other hand, it was shown in 1994 by Peter W. Shor, a mathematician, that by quantum mechanics, you can actually solve this problem. And the time taken is, now you see that not exponentially, it is increasing with number of digits. So this actually gives us, I mean, this is probably the first breakthrough result which convinced people that one has to build quantum computer. And this is the graph. You can see that classically it will take exponentially when you increase the number of digits. So x-axis is number of digits, and then quantum mechanically it kind of flat curve. So now there are also experiments going on. For example, Google has claimed that they can solve a certain problem in a quantum computer that they have built by 3 minutes 20 seconds, although the classical supercomputer requires 10,000 years. This was the claim in 2019, but later on there are people, scientists from China, who said that not the Google's claim is entirely true, because there is a classical computer which can solve that problem in 5 days. But in quantum computer, we require 3 minutes, 20 seconds. So there is a controversy going on whether we have achieved experimentally quantum supremacy or not. But theoretically, it is proven that if we can build quantum computer, we can solve certain problem much more efficiently than the existing classical computer. And so there are certain research, current research that we are doing at HRI. For example, we are trying to find a suitable quantum system where quantum computers can be built. So for example, one candidate are the quantum spin models, which can be actually realized by cold atoms or trapped ions. And there you can build quantum computer, which are actually known as one-way quantum computer. And we recently showed that there are, if we have a trapped system, then naturally you can have some kind of something called long range spin model, and that is more helpful to have to build quantum computer. And so there are several open questions remain, that how to design really quantum circuits efficiently, how to implement them in laboratories, etc. Now, I have some time. Right? Yeah. Okay, so the second part, I will be concentrating on communication. So, already we have seen kind of communication revolution. So I think when I was born, or my school time, I was in this left one where we used to write letters. And I think here students never have written any letters to their friends or relatives. And we used to write letters, and after 1 month, it reaches to our family member, and then they write back and so on. So already we have seen revolution in a sense. Now we just use mobile phone to communicate each other. Now, when we talk about communication, that means there is at least two parties, Alice and Bob. We usually call one is sender, another is receiver. And we want to send certain information from one place to another. They, of course, are situated in distant locations, Delhi and Allahabad, or in other continent. Now, this information can be classical or quantum, and I'm not going into details, but in both the scenarios, one can show that if you have quantum communication devices, they can provide certain efficiency, which we cannot get by using our mobile phone or even the whatever communication devices that you build via classical mechanical principles, classical electrodynamics or electronics. Now, there are, so if, for example, now the people are looking at, including us, that how to build quantum instead of communications between two people, we probably want to build something called network where everybody will be connected. So we want to build quantum devices by which we can communicate arbitrary number of people. And that is the goal of quantum internet. And we have certain work going on. It's a hard problem, actually. And so it is still an important question how to optimally design a quantum network and whether we can implement that in photonic devices or in ion traps, cold atoms, etc. Now, there are also proposals on photonic devices that we have recently published. Now, there are another layer of complication in communication devices, that suppose I want to send certain information from one person to another, and there is a eavesdropper in between that. And that we encounter every day, because this is the usefulness of secure communication. When we want to say, do a internet banking, or we want to do internet marketing or something to buy from Flipkart or Amazon. So this is actually related to national security. And, from ancient time, people are planning to build cryptographic system, okay? So, but all the classical crypto machines that we are using, internet banking, everything, they're based on the belief that some mathematical problems cannot be solved with a reasonable time in a classical computer. And that is what I have started. That means, for example, the factoring, prime factors of a given integer. Now you see that if we can build quantum computer, then all the crypto systems that we are using now will be insecure. So this is a threat. So how to get out of that? The policy, again, quantum mechanics can give us the remedy. You can build a quantum crypto system now, which is the cryptography which is based on quantum mechanical principles. And you can show that remains secure even when you have a quantum computer. So this is the actually kind of breakthrough results found by these three people. But there are several still open questions, not exactly solved: how to do security analysis where more parties, and how to really build quantum cryptography network. So these people are trying, and including us at HRI, we are trying to build quantum cryptography between several, where there are several people are involved. So there are in all these business, this is, okay. Yeah, so maybe I give 1 minute or 2 minutes. So this quantum, when we want to build quantum devices, then the natural question is, what is the resource? So for example, if we want to drive a car, we know that we require petrol, diesel, now CNG, electric, etc. So similarly, it is also important to find out what is the resource, or what resource you require to build these quantum devices. And this is a very active area of research in quantum technologies. And for example, in photonic system, this led to a Nobel Prize in 2022, where people have found that in all these building quantum devices, we require entangled state, and how to really detect entangled state in laboratory. And these three people have a proposal which lead to their Nobel Prize. So we are also interested to do this kind of research, like why we are getting higher speed of in quantum computer, or why we are getting more efficiency in quantum communication devices. So here I just end with those two things. One is this: there are Indian efforts on quantum technologies. For example, DST has launched a program called Quest, and that is almost the end, because March 2024 it is ending. But probably you have heard of a national quantum mission, where the pre-proposal of is also out in DST website. So this is the more or less the sorry, the status that quantum cryptography is already a reality. People are trying to do more research in quantum internet and quantum computer. So this is some young students, actually the girl students that I have a photograph, who are doing quantum technologies, taken at a conference at HRI recently. And this is the entire group working at HRI. Thank you.
So thanks, Aditi, for giving this peep into the world of quantum technologies. So now I hand over the job to my co-chair.
So I'm very pleased to welcome Professor Bushra Atiq, who is a professor and senior fellow of the DBT Wellcome Trust India Alliance, and she is based in IIT Kanpur. Her research interest involves the exploration of the genetic and epigenetic changes that initiate cancer. So she studies the progression, drug resistance of cancer, and molecular mechanisms involved in that. She's also involved in developing new testing methods and targeted therapies. Professor Atiq is the recipient of Bhatnagar Award. She got it in Medical Sciences in 2020. She has also received several other accolades. Just to name a few: Sun Pharma Science Foundation Research Award, Ramachandran National Bioscience Award, Organization of Pharmaceutical Producers of India Scientist Award, CSIR, Central Drug Research Institute Award, and ICMR Basanti Devi Amit Chand Prize for her excellence in cancer research. She's also an elected fellow in all the three national science academies. So, Bushra. Yeah. नहीं 15 मिनट में कर देगी है ना Bushra, right?
Yeah, I'll try to finish. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also 15 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not going to take more than 15. Okay. Glad to be here, and thanks to SWATI organizers for giving me this opportunity to share my journey with you all. And thank you so much, Professor Shobna, for your generous introduction. So I thought like maybe I'll give you a brief introduction about my journey. And I've all children, they are like curious, and I was also one of them. And my entire education, pretty much from +2 to PhD, is from Aligarh Muslim University. And during my PhD, I developed interest in cancer biology. So what I'm doing today, I didn't do that in my PhD. I was doing like more of a screening of a herbicide and weedicide to see what is the effect on the aquatic animal and rats. And eventually, because of my interest, I approached Professor Nita Singh at AIMS, New Delhi, in biochemistry department, and she was very kind to have me in her lab to learn like basics of cancer biology. And from there, I moved briefly to NII. There also, I have learned many facets of cell and molecular biology. And finally, I am currently at IIT Kanpur after doing 2 postdocs. So my postdoc was relatively little longer because obviously when you change field, you have to learn ABC from the ABC. So it was like almost 9 years, but I'm glad I chose that path. And I think like in this journey, like there are many mentors, many well-wishers, many cheerleaders who helped me, and that's why I'm standing here today. So thank you all. So my lab primarily work on exploring the genetic and epigenetic alterations that drive cancer. And we focus on 3 different cancer types: prostate, colorectal, and breast carcinoma, though today I'm going to talk about more prostate cancer. So you can imagine if you have more women in science, some women may study men's disease. So we focus on like mapping cancer dependencies, and we also look for like some of these vulnerabilities in the cancer and try to look for the drugs which may be more effective. We also recently started some work on real-time monitoring by doing liquid biopsy in cancer patients. So this disease is mainly like not that aggressive as people say. Mainly prostate cancer patients, they don't die because of the disease, they die because of the age and other related side effects. So you can see here, like this is a section of a gland where you see a foci, and these green cells are the cells which turn into neoplastic cells and which result into adenocarcinoma. Most of these patients are giving androgen deprivation therapy, and the reason is because androgen, which is like testosterone, is very crucial for the gland development as well as for the cancer initiation as well as progression. So majority of the patient, they are given androgen deprivation therapy. Initially, if you see in this graph, this is a tumor volume and the activity which is for prostate specific antigen. They respond. You see decrease in the volume, in the tumor burden as well as PSA. But over a period of time, they come back as a relapse. They come as a castration-resistant prostate cancer, which is much more aggressive. And at this point, if you see at the cells, they are more of like a castration-resistant prostate cancer. Some of these cells, they acquire neuroendocrine biomarker and they turn into neuroendocrine prostate cancer, for which we don't have that many therapeutic interventions. Now, if you look at the molecular level, the disease is very heterogeneous because you see multiple genetic events. And here is a list of genetic chimeras. I would say 2 genes fusing together to give rise to a different protein which was not there. So in this case, I'm going to focus on 3 different types, like TMPRSS2 ERK fusion, which is 50% recurrent, 50 to 60% recurrent, followed by SPINK1, which is serine protease inhibitor castle type 1. It's also there in 10 to 15% of the cases, and RAF kinase alteration. If you look at how these patients do, 20 to 15% of these cases which have SPINK1, they are much more aggressive patient as compared to the other subtypes. So when I started my career at IIT Kanpur in 2013, one of the challenge was when I was approaching for funding, what is the recurrence rate of these alteration in India? And that's when I started collaborating with clinical collaborators like in northern part of the country, like especially like from Lucknow and Kanpur region as well as AIMS. And the question was, what are the frequency of this alteration? And we were like very fortunate to have fruitful collaboration. And we looked into these, like if you look at this cell, you see this green and blue dot, which is showing there's a gene is rearranged when they are distinct. Which is shown here. So we found like similar to Caucasian, except RAF alteration, which is there in 6% of the cases. So we have drug for this patient, like if they are having RAF kinase alteration, sorafenib, another RAF kinase inhibitor could be used. So with this, understanding the role of the androgen signaling was very important. And my first student, Ritika, she took on this challenge, and the question was, what is the connection between androgen signaling and SPINK1? And first thing was we screen the expression of SPINK1 and as well as androgen receptor, and we do see very inverse relationship. The patient who were having more SPINK were having low androgen receptor, and vice versa. So then we looked into the mechanism, because coming from a molecular biology lab, like more important is mechanism, then only you come up with the targets. And what we found that both androgen receptor as well as this partner rest sits on the SPINK1 promoter. So, you know, like the gene, they have a promoter region, and there are certain transcription factor which will activate the transcription activity. There's some transcription factor which will repress the transcription activity. So what we found that androgen receptor as well as rest, they suppress the activity. And then we went ahead to recapitulate this experiment in a cell line, in a dish. We put these cells which were negative for SPINK1, put them in androgen deprivation condition, and what we found was like there's a switch in the lineage. You see the SPINK was not there, but because of this deprivation condition, we see SPINK coming up. Although we see decrease in PSA, but we see some other marker coming up, which are markers for neuroendocrine prostate cancer, which shows that indeed, like when you put many of these patients for androgen deprivation therapy, they may have detrimental effect rather than having some benefits. And similar observation was recapitulated in the mice model. These mice were giving that like vehicle control or drug, anti-androgen drug, enzalutamide, or the next generation drug ARN-509, which is known as apatulamide. And if you see in the control mice tumors, there is no SPINK1, but the mice treated with enzalutamide and ARN shows very significant expression of SPINK1 as well as other neuroendocrine markers, suggesting that when we administer these patients with anti-androgen therapy, they may have like worse outcome, and the reason is maybe because of the increase in SPINK1 and associated neuroendocrine markers. So therefore, weighing the benefit of ADT and possible side effects is very important. I'll switch gears to another story, like where we looked into the role of DLX1, which is a distillase homeobox gene. And the reason we chose this gene, because this gene has been used by the diagnostic company based in US for almost more than a decade. They use in like this diagnostic marker. So, and the other reason is because in cancer, we say most of the genes which are involved in development as well as embryogenesis, they are disruptively upregulated in cancer. So distillase is known to be like regulating mandibular jaw development and bone reformation. So we thought like, what is the role of DLX1? And what we found, like around 60% patients were positive for DLX1 expression. And one question was then, like if previously I told you 50% of the patient, they show a gene fusion, like between TMPRSS2 and ERK. And if 60% of these are showing DLX1 expression, what is the common picture between these two? And what we found that majority of the ERK positive patient, they have DLX1 expression, whereas some DLX1 patient, they don't have ERK, just DLX1 is high. So then we correlated this finding and we found that ERG is not there, but AR is there. And to confirm the role of DLX1 in oncogenicity, because it has been used as a diagnostic marker, but what is it exactly doing in prostate cancer? What we did, we performed CRISPR-Cas-based knockout of DLX1. And when we implanted these cells in the mice, we see decrease in the tumor burden when we knock out DLX1. Likewise, when we implanted these cells in the bone, we see DLX1 high tumor mice with DLX1 high tumor, they show more tumor growth and bone destruction and bone loss, indicating that most of the patients who have high DLX1 may be having more bone metastasis. And here in this schema is showing the mechanistic insight, but I don't go into detail. But what we have shown that DLX1 is regulated by ERK, and there is a drug which could disrupt this association. ERK and BRD2 and 3, they recruit ERK and then drive the target gene. So we thought, like, could it be like if we use a inhibitor which could disrupt this complex, that is like bromodomain inhibitor, DLX1, can we perturbate or can we attenuate the DLX1 oncogenicity? And that's what we found in a mice model. And if you see here, this is the graph which is showing tumor implanted with the DLX1 positive cells. And when they were given these drugs, ENZA, JQ or combination, we see significant reduction in tumor growth in the mice given JQ or ENZA plus JQ. So again, this is the current work going in the lab. So in the precision medicine, one drug may not work for all the patient. You have to categorically divide patient based on the driver alteration into different subtypes. And that's how you do the personalized risk stratification. So in this like effort, like what we are doing currently, we are like collaborating with nearby medical institutions, and currently we have whole exome data that I'm going to share here with you. So we found 80% of these somatic variants, they belong to missense mutation. And one event that we found more often in our data set is C to T transition, which is mainly with ACE-associated cancers. And if you see here, this is a relative, account of comparing our data, that is like ITK prostate adenocarcinoma cohort with the cancer genome atlas prostate adenocarcinoma. You see many of these genes which we found in our Indian cohort are either highly upregulated, like high recurrence of mutation, or they're totally like absent here in Western cohort, but in our cohort they are there. So now currently we are validating this gene, understanding the functional relevance, and one such gene is this cyclin-dependent kinase 12, which is like we found a biallelic functional inactivation. And also because of this inactivation in this gene, we see throughout the genome in these patients, there is a tandem duplication, which means the genome is there are smaller stretches of tandem duplication. And that's how these patients, they show higher neoantigenic burden. And these are the patients who could benefit by either PARP inhibitor or maybe by immunotherapy. So currently the lab is working on in several lists of these mutations or copy number alteration we found in the lab. And the idea is to come up with a comprehensive landscape for these contributing genetic and epigenetic events for Indian patients, and come up with the guideline which would help us to detect early this disease. And finally, the goal is utilize this data set in designing a targeted gene set, which will have diagnostic marker, early diagnostic marker, and some of the durable alteration, so that we could stratify patient at the very early stage when they are having this benign disease. And that's all. Like, so what work I have presented today was not possible, like, because, like since morning we are focusing on whether it's industry or academics on collaboration. So I'm fortunate to have collaborators within India, like in Lucknow, Delhi, as well as Kanpur, Aligarh. And beside that, we also have some overseas collaborators who have been very generous and sharing the resources and knowledge. And fortunate to have a very motivated group of students. By the way, I don't have that problem that student won't join me as a female faculty. I see more female joining me when I started my career, but now I see balance tilting towards more male joining me. So I don't know why, but that's what it is. So thank you so much. And funding agency for funding our research. Happy to take question. Save 2 minutes.
Thanks so much, Bushra. I think she has done. So first of all, cancer is a disease which is really one of the scary and frightening one. And taking on molecular biology to understand it, and specifically towards some things which can go towards translation, early diagnosis, as also certain markers, as also essentially finding out markers so that you can make it personalize the treatments, because some people may have some genes up, some people may have other genes up, and finding out what treatment will be suitable for which person. So that kind of work. Thank you so much, Bushra. So the next speaker is Dr. Jyotirmoyee Das. She is probably coming on online. And she is a senior professor. So we have, as you can see, the choice was one physics, one chemistry, one biology, young woman achiever. So Jyotirmoyee Das is a chemist. She is a senior professor at the Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, Calcutta, with research interests in topics related to organic chemistry and chemical biology in general. She obtained her PhD in synthetic organic chemistry from IIT Kanpur in 2003 under the advisorship of Professor F.A. Khan. She was a Humboldt fellow during 2004 and 2006. The honors and awards conferred on her include editorial advisory board membership. That was in 2021. International Advisory Board, Asian Journal of Chemistry, that was also 2021. Bhatnagar Award in 2020. Fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry, FRSC in 2020, CRSI Bronze Medal 2020, DBT Wellcome Trust Indian Alliance Senior Fellowship, and Swarna Jayanti Fellowship in 2015-16. So I welcome Dr. Jyotirmoy Das to make her presentation. I'm just requesting her to keep to her time, right?
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for your kind introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. I would like to thank the organizers of SWATI, Dr. Manju Sharma, and others for the kind invitation and giving me an opportunity to speak today at the launch event of SWATI portal. Unlike the last two academic talks, I would like to discuss today about women playing a key role in science and technology. As already been discussed a lot, in all the branches of science, women continue to be less represented worldwide. And the gender gap in science and technology is more than other disciplines. As per this survey report, which was published in the year 2022, there are only 13% of women scientists and faculty in Indian higher education and research institutions. As we all agree that talent knows no gender. Everyone has a unique perspective and problem solving skills. Having more women in science will create a bigger group of talented individuals to contribute in the progress of science and technology. And that would consequently reduce gender gap in research and development. Successful women would become role models to inspire the next generation of scientists. To brighten the future, we must refer to the past and explore the remarkable contributions of women in science and technology. They bravely faced all the challenges and to break the barriers. And their stories need to be told and retold time and time again. And today I would like to pay my tribute to all the incredible women that play crucial roles in all the scientific discoveries and inventions. And I would like to mention that some of the women Nobel laureates in chemistry. Dr. Marie Curie was the first woman to receive the Nobel Prize, and she was even the first person to receive two Nobel Prizes in two different disciplines, in 1903 in physics and 1911 for chemistry and for the discovery of radioactive elements. Then her daughter, Dr. Irene Joliot-Curie, followed her footsteps and received the honor for the artificial synthesis of radioactive compounds. Then again, 3 decades later, Dr. Dorothy Crowfoot Hodgkin received the Nobel Prize for the structure determination of important biochemical substances. Some of the important contributions of women haven't been received due credit in the history of science. For instance, the remarkable contribution, the phenomenal contributions of Dr. Rosalind Franklin in determining the DNA double helix was recognized much later. And breaking the stereotypes, in recent times, women have done significant breakthroughs. Like Dr. Yada Yonath won the Nobel Prize in chemistry for the structure determination of ribosomes, which is important for developing new antibiotics. Then 9 years later, Dr. Francis Arnold won the prize for directed evolution using artificial enzymes. The year 2020, Dr. Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier, both of them shared the Nobel Prize for the discovery of genome editing method. And again, in the year 2022, Dr. Caroline Bartuzzi won the Nobel Prize for her pioneering contributions for click chemistry and bioorthogonal chemistry, an area of research that we are currently pursuing. So these successful stories tell us that science knows no gender. And also this trend shows there is a gradual increase in number of women in winning the Nobel Prize. While the world experienced a shift for women in science, India also made significant strides. And we have many incredible women who made crucial discoveries and inventions and also inspired others to follow their, to explore their talents. And this book, Vigyan Vidushi, is an incredible record by Vigyan Prashad that highlights the lives and contributions of 75 women since pre-independence time to until date. So we have had a talk from a space scientist, and in recent times, women are emerging successful in all spheres: education, space, medicine, and science. So I would just like to give a few examples, like Dr. Teshi Thomas, who is known as the Missile Woman of India, spearheaded India's missile development. And today we have heard the talk from Dr. Neil Shahjeh, and there are other women scientists who made a crucial, who played crucial role in the mission Mangal and Chandrayaan 2 and 3 missions. So now notable women scientists include Shanti Shoru Bhatnagar Prize winners, and in this slide I have shown the prize winners in chemistry. So far, only 21 women, that is 3 to 4%, have received this honor in all different branches of science. Professor Asima Chatterjee was the first woman to receive the SSB prize, and she was also the first woman to receive a PhD degree from an Indian university. And she was honored with Padma Bhushan for her remarkable contributions to phytomedicine and synthetic organic chemistry. Then again, 5 decades later, Professor Charusita Chakraborty received the honor for her immense contributions to theoretical chemistry. And 4 years later, Professor Yamuna Krishnan won the SSB prize for her pioneering contributions in DNA and nanotechnology. And the year 2020 was a remarkable year for us. Just Professor Bushra Atik, who spoke just before me, Professor Bassala Tirumalai, and of course I won the prizes in medicine, biology, and chemistry. And this shows that women are emerging successful in all branches of science, and they are equally capable of doing high quality research and receive recognition and honor. And this should certainly inspire the young generation to actively take part in scientific education and research. And also, women have made their mark in the 3 Indian Academy of Sciences. Dr. Janaki Amal was the first woman fellow in all these Academy of Sciences, and Dr. Manju Sharma today, she was one of the organizers. She was the first woman president of NASI for the year 95 to 96. Dr. Chandrima Saha, I'm proud to listen to her. She was the first woman president of INSA in 2020, that is after 85 years of its establishment. And at present, we have only 8 to 10% of women fellows in each of these 3 Academy of Sciences, which is quite less in number. So now, let us find out that in spite of all these successful examples, why still women quit science? And already been discussed a lot, so I would just like to emphasize again that the decline mostly starts from when women transition from master's to PhD level, then from PhD programs to independent research positions. Possibly the demanding nature of STEM and the long working hours make an independent research career challenging. and women opt for professions where it is easier to balance between work and home. So therefore, they prefer being an educator in schools, colleges, or universities rather than staying in research. So this explains why we have less number of women fellows, SSB awardees, or leaders in academia. So for instance, in Indian Academy of Science receives only 2 to 3% nominations for women. And due to limited number of fellowships, these positions are selected based on their scientific contributions, irrespective of gender. And we must overcome these barriers to usher an era of change. And effort needs to be directed by providing proper mentorship, creating more and more opportunities, and exemplifying role models in STEM. The recent initiatives by the government to support women researchers in different stages of their research career are quite encouraging. For instance, there are WISE PhD for doctoral studies. And this fastest fellowship is quite important because as the decline mostly starts from MSc. So more number of these fellowships would encourage women to pursue PhD at their nearest universities or institutions. And again, if I go back after post PhD or after a career break, so there are different skills. For instance, DSD, DBT, and DHR women scientists, and these positions are of 3 years, and these are awarded only once. So the question in their mind is, what's next? Possibly providing a 5 year fellowship instead of 3 years, granting scholarships on time, and continuing funding for outstanding projects would not only nurture to sustain their careers, but would also help them to make steady contributions in science. And also in recent times, government has policies to recruit faculty positions, women faculty positions in all the STEM institutions, and there are also fellowships and projects for independent women scientists. So in order to bridge the gap. So my perspective is by creating more number of positions, fellowships, or research grants, maybe more opportunities can be created for the deserving candidates, and possibly the SWATI could provide a platform to network and to find out the research tools, the desired research tools for the women scholars in their young stage of career. And finally, I would like to end my talk by giving a brief outline of my academic journey in the path of science. It all began in a small village in Odisha with humble roots, and achieving my PhD at IIT Kanpur was a stepping stone of my research career, where I imbibed the values of hard work, dedication.
Jyotirmoy, can you wind up?
In 2 minutes, yes, in 2 minutes, yes. And dedication and hard work, and that were the driving forces behind my scientific journey. And doing my postdoctoral research with distinguished scientists also motivated me to learn more and more. And I first started at Aishar Kolkata and then moved to ISS Kolkata, and these are my group photos. I always encourage young women researchers and scholars, and if we can just see these photos, we can see there is an increase in number of women research scholars, master students, and research associates. And we have been working on targeting nucleic acid secondary structures for therapeutic applications, and these works have been highlighted on the front cover and newspapers and many different science magazines. And finally, I have been inspired by this quote of Madame Curie to face the unknown with curiosity and commitment rather than giving it up. And finally, I believe that if there is a strong passion, one can cross all the barriers to reach the goal. And I would like to wish you all a happy International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Jyotimoyi. That was asserting things, the points which we have been discussing the whole day. Thank you so much. Over to Rohini.
So now it's my pleasure to invite Professor Deepak Dhar. He is a eminent, and I will explain what is meant, how eminent, theoretical physicist of India. And right now I would say that he has one distinction, that he is the only on the scientific matters, only male speaker speaking on matters scientific. But that's not the only uniqueness. He is unique in that he has very recently, in 2022, he has won something called the Boltzmann Medal of the IUPAP. And he's, of course, one of the first, he is the only Indian so far to have won this medal. But more importantly, what you may not know, about 25% of the Boltzmann Prize medal winners went on to win Nobel Prizes. So that just gives you an idea of the standard of the Boltzmann Medal. Apart from this, of course, Professor Deepak Dhar has had all the usual honors that we have been hearing throughout the day. He is fellow of all the 3 Indian Science Academies as well as the World Academy of Sciences. He has won the Bhatnagar Award. He has won the Twas Prize. And so, but as I said, quite apart from that, he is a shining leading light in the subject of statistical physics in India and in the world. So here is Professor Deepak Dhar. Professor Dhar will talk about the science he does, but I am requesting him to preface that talk with a few comments about his thoughts also on the.
Okay, so I'll be happy to do that, but I wanted my talk to be uploaded here so that I can manage it.
Oh, so
is it
Gitanjali?
Yes, it has been done to Archana and I don't know the email address.
Yeah, it has already been submitted to the person Karthikeyan, Mr. Karthikeyan, and with information to NIPGR.
Just a few minutes. Maybe I will use that time to discuss my take on this matter. So firstly, of course, I'm very happy to have an occasion to, is this on? Yeah. To speak on this International Day of Women and Girls in Science. I believe that any society which discourages a very large section of people from realizing their potential works at a suboptimal level. And it is something which we should avoid. I think, we know of societies where people discourage women for going beyond primary education. And of course, we look upon them as very, undesirable conditions. But such things have happened even in India at some time or the other. People discourage people beyond one particular caste to study one particular type of stuff and so on. So I think we should not throw stones at others. We should look at ourselves and we should realize that there are many things which can be improved. And it's not only women, there are all other kinds of disprivileged society, set of people, economically backward or whatever, who also deserve encouragement in the same way. Okay, so that is the first thing. I think there is another thing which is very common. So Azil said that, there are women who are comfortable talking about science, but if you start talking business and enterprise, then they are very uncomfortable. So at heart, I am a woman.
Yes.
So, so I will prefer to speak about science and not so much about the sociological ways in which the current situation can be improved. I'm still waiting for somebody to show up here. No, I sent it saying that it should be uploaded and I hope it is done. I didn't bring any pen drive and stuff because that was supposed to be very old-fashioned things. I can send it again if needed. I have my phone with me.
So have you, at the projection center, have you received the presentation? I think there's a.
So I'm sorry. No, it is okay. Yeah, I mean, I can talk without the. There is a formal presentation which will be hard to do without the slides.
Yeah.
Cannot give a talk
I
without
have-
slides. I mean,
Yeah, why don't you send it on email again?
You give me the address and I will send it again.
नहीं उनका कुछ एड्रेस है. I used it in the morning actually.
this is not. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm just saying this way. Okay.
Actually इधर इधर का ही मेरे पास है अमन GAV SIT. No, not dinner. There's a cultural program.
They have to prepare the.
So, is it okay? So, I will try to describe some work which is not directly related to women in science, but hopefully some women will be inspired to look at problems in physics which are of some interest. So a lot of people said that there is some, what you want to do is to get some new people interested in some subject. So I hope that some of the younger people in the audience will be finding this subject interesting. Okay, so the problem I will discuss is a new approach to equation of state of hard spheres. And this work is done with Rajesh at IMSC Chennai and Anjaney Kumar, who is a student at Pune. It is discussed in a perspective article which appeared in 2023. And so this is an outline. Don't be scared. It says equation of what is an equation of state and the hard sphere problem, the basic phenomenology. Then there is a standard technique of studying this problem, which is called the Mayer series expansion and its limitations. Then I will very quickly recapitulate some earlier work about the Li-Yang theory of phase transitions and behavior near close packing densities. And then I will give you the basic requirements of a good candidate equation and how all the current work fails, and our proposal, which is a little bit better. Okay, so equilibrium equations of state. Historically, the primary aim of equilibrium statistical physics has been to deduce macroscopic properties of bulk matter from interactions between the microscopic constituents. Like if you give me the molecules, I should tell you the macroscopic properties. In particular, for a given material, what people would like to know is the equation of state pressure as a function of density and temperature. Thermodynamics does not give this at all. They say that there must be some equation, but they don't give it. Statistical mechanics hopes to give it if you can give the interaction between molecules. So the simplest system one can think of is things like monoatomic gases like argon, which can be modeled as spherical point particles interacting by pair interactions, which are repulsive at short distances, attractive at bigger distances. But even this problem is not exactly solvable by exact solution, but it has been studied a lot by Monte Carlo simulations. So we will need to simplify the problem even further. And so one particular simplification is that the potential is just a power law potential, 1 upon r to the power n. sorry, there is a minus n, it should be plus n there. The problem simplifies. The scale pressure becomes a function of one variable, density times temperature to the power something. And a particular simple case is when n is infinite, which is called the hard sphere model. There, if r is less than a, then the function is infinite. When r is bigger than a, it is 0. So that is called the hard spheres. And the hard sphere problem has been called the Drosophila of theoretical physics. So in biology, what happens is that there are all kinds of animals, and you cannot study all of them. So you study only one, which is Drosophila. And whatever happens in Drosophila also happens in other models. That is taken for granted with minor variations here and there. Okay, so in physics, there are these phase transitions which happen. And the simplest model to study phase transitions has been hard spheres. And in 2 and 3 dimensions, this has been studied very extensively. And in fact, there is this lecture notes in physics I picked up. There is other review articles as well, where in fact they list 100 different equations of state which have been proposed for the hard sphere problem. Okay, I will, this, you don't have to read this in great detail, but they make a table of all the different 100 equations which have been proposed, and I'm not listing them here. And the equations are of the form P by rho is some function of rho. And these Q and R are polynomials, and the coefficients are sometimes chosen to be something or the other. And, so here is an example of the kinds of equations which have been proposed. And there are 100 such equations, more than 100. Okay. Most of these equations are valid only in the low density phase, and they are unsatisfactory in many other ways. And we will discuss something slightly different. So this problem is about 150 years old. And I would say that not enough progress has been made. And that is what we are trying to do better at. Okay, so the basic phenomenology of hard spheres is well understood from computer simulations over the last 60 years. So here's a pressure as a function of density. And there is a low density branch. Then there is a first order transition where, as a function of pressure, the density jumps discontinuously. And in the high density phase, there is a crystalline phase. So this is the low density phase, then there is a first order transition, there is a high density phase. If you change the pressure very fast, then sometimes you don't get a crystalline phase, you get a metastable amorphous material, which is called the glassy state. So there is a glassy branch of this, which is a little bit protocol dependent, but that, so that is well established experimentally, you can determine this curve. The idea is to find a theoretical model which does this. So now the theory, there is a crystallization phase transition. At low density, there is a sort of molecule arrangement of molecules I've tried to show here, hard spheres. And they are in random position, they are gas-like. At high density, they are like crystal, they form a crystal. Okay, and this is the transition. It's a geometrical transition, and it's easy to understand. At least the statement of the problem can be explained to a high school student. But this simple model is also, it's of course it's prototype, but it's a fairly good picture for the correlated molecular structures across melting transition. There is a experimental rule called the entropy change at melting is like 1 unit in some units, and this model can explain that. There is this thing called glassy state, and it's a non-equilibrium state, so it is, but a good theory of hard spheres may be expected to describe not only the equilibrium state, but also the glassy state. Now, there is a well-established technique, which is 1920 onward, which is pressure you expand as a power series in density. The coefficients are temperature dependent in general, but in the case of hard sphere, there is no temperature dependence. So the coefficients for hard spheres can be evaluated analytically in the dimensions B2. And then there was a lot of work dealing with this systematically, then B3 you can determine by, sometimes you have to do very complicated integrals to do higher order. But Clisby and McCoy calculated the first 10 virial coefficients up to dimensions 2 to 8. And now there are Zhang and Petit have evaluated to 64 orders in dimensions up to 100. So there has been a lot of work on these problems, and this is just a sample of the kind of stuff. This is the dimension, and these are some virial coefficients evaluated to 16th order, 32th order, like that. Okay, so given all this data, what can you do with it? In spite of the large amount of effort, this approach has had very limited success. These equations are valid only in the low density phase. They don't discuss the high density phase. The radius of convergence of the virial series is much greater than the density at which the phase transition occurs. So the virial series cannot even detect the onset of the first order crystallization transition. And knowing 100 terms of the series does not seem to help in this matter. The proposed forms of the exact singularity, these proposed forms do not show the expected singularity structure in the complex activity plane. So there is a very famous old theory of Li and Yang about phase transitions. I will only give the qualitative feature of the theory. It says the partition function, which is the grand partition function, is a polynomial in the activity variable, which is exponential beta mu. And this partition function has zeros. And the partition function is a polynomial in Z, so it is analytic. But the log of the partition function develops singularities where there are the zeros. And so Li and Yang argued that the zeros may fall on lines. And then on these lines, there will be singularities of the partition function. And that is how phase transitions occur. So this is a picture from Li and Yang's paper in 1950. And there is a region R1 where one kind of behavior occurs, then in region R2, one different, one R3 different. This is sort of expected to be the kind of structure they were hoping for solid liquid gas kind of transition. But it is known that at the endpoints of lines of zeros, there are also power law singularities, which are independent of pressure, temperature, and depend only on dimension. This is a known result, subsequently discovered. And the values of these powers are known in 3 dimensions. And the theories, the equations of state which have been proposed so far do not show this structure. So they are failing qualitatively. Okay. Also, there are other results known at equation of state at high densities for densities tending to 1, which is the maximum closed pack density. Pressure should go as 1 upon 1 minus rho, which those equations do not deal with. There was also an interesting result by Stillinger. So he asked that suppose the density is just a little bit less than 1, maximum, 1 minus epsilon. Then it's a crystalline state. What is the period of the crystal? So naively, you would say rho to the power minus 1/3 will be the period. Because, you make it cube and it becomes the density. Turns out that it's not, it's nearly right, but it's not exactly right. The actual lattice spacing is a little bit less. And the difference is because you make a little bit less spacing, then there you can have more sites, and then you create some vacancies. So all the sites are not occupied and some sites are vacant, and these extra vacancies gives you more entropy. And so this is a preferred state. The density of these vacancies is exponential minus 1 upon epsilon, which is the distance from the close packing. So it's an essential singularity. And all those equations do not show these kinds of singular structures. Okay. So the equation of state is not likely to be Taylor expandable near the close packing limit and have essential singularities. So here are good behavior conditions on the equation of state. It should show correct behavior at small density and large density and show phase transitions between them, if any. Contain some parameters that can be adjusted for different materials. Have correct analytical structure, have correct critical exponents at phase transitions, and Li-Yang edge points wherever you expect it to have one particular kind of singular behavior. That is what the equation should show, and be consistent with known series expansion results, and also describe metastable branches is possible. So all these qualitative conditions I wrote down first. And it turns out that all these three blue ones are not satisfied by any of the existing equations. They only discuss the low density branch. They don't discuss the high density branch. They don't have the correct analytical structure. And they also don't simultaneously satisfy the metastable condition. So our proposal is to start with a different way. And this pressure is given in the Li-Yang theory by the density of zeros in the complex plane. So you postulate some density of zeros, and then that postulate is used to construct the equation of state, not directly postulate virial expansion, but postulate the density of states and make some reasonable assumptions about the density of states. For example, our proposal is that there is a line which goes from some point to minus infinity. There is another loop which goes like this. Then you can adjust the density of zeros along this line and along this loop. It will give you a first order transition at this point. It will give you the Li-Yang H singularity exponent. And with the correct choice of power distribution of these zeros in the density, you can match as many virial coefficients as you wish. Okay, so by adjusting all these coefficients, we can match as many virial coefficients. With correct choice of powers, you can get fluid-solid transition, you get Li-Yang singularity, and you also get essential singularities by the choice of the density of states. The metastable branch, skip this one. Summary. We have proposed an approach for generating equation of state, which shows a first order transition, has the correct singularity structure, can match as many virial coefficients as you wish, can incorporate the essential singularity and large activities, which is sort of a slightly subtle point, and can also describe the metastable state. Extension of these kinds of ideas to Leonard Jones kinds of stuff with the attractive interactions is interesting direction for future work. And I will stop here.
How the theoretical physics explorations work. So I thank you for giving this sort of overview. It's very interesting, actually. I think I can ask you questions later on. I should apologize. I think sometimes these things happen, but I think there was a mix-up before the beginning, and it's a pity. I should also apologize to Deepak because I forgot to mention that he was awarded Padma Bhushan last year in 2023. And I should have mentioned it before. Partially, it comes from talking about a friend. And the other, last but not the least, he is a member of the Inter-Academy Panel for Women in Science and participates heartily into all the discussions and brings his rigor and logic to our discussions. So with this,
thank you.
I would like to thank him again.
Thank you.
And close this session. And I give the control back to you. So, yeah. No, nameplates तो बदले है नहीं.
नहीं है तो.
We have been working as Alka Sharma and Pratibha Jolly for the last one. So that's okay. I'm happy to take on your role.
We come to the last session. to be chaired by Dr. Manju Sharma and co-chaired by Professor Rohini Godbole.
So friends, we have come to our concluding session. I can count the audience, not more than 50 now. Most of the people have left. However, what I want to say that we had an excellent deliberations the whole day, very good lectures, and I'm sure the youngsters sitting here and even others have benefited a lot. At least I know I have benefited a lot from different lectures. Secondly, I also want to tell you that looking at the response of today's event, I feel that we will organize one or two more in this year if possible. And I'll talk to Shubhra, and we will see that we focus on just 2 or 3 areas, not more than 4 lectures, but a full day event like this. So if all of you would concur with this, just say, raise your hands, and then, oh, wonderful, everybody has raised. So Shubhra, remember, now we'll do this again. The most important point which has come up from the discussions today and all the presentations is how best the women scientists can be involved in different programs, how best performance we have seen of the women scientists who have been working in different research laboratories and organizations, and how best we can see in future if we continue to give them the responsibility and the tasks. In every sphere of activity, they can play a very different, very pivotal role, rather, I'll say, and also there will be a result oriented. That is the word I always like to use. Whatever they will do, the responsibilities, it will be result oriented. That is what I could notice today from different presentations, and also by the presence of women this morning when we had the inaugural session, that there is a commitment on part of women scientists in this country to contribute for the nation development more and more through their scientific and technological endeavors. I don't want to say more, but I'll only tell Shubhra that you should think about organizing 1 or 2 more programs maybe little later, and not on that large a scale. But even if we get 100 women scientists and they come and listen to speeches like today we have had, the lectures, it will really benefit them. I want to motivate them and enthuse them to take science as a career. That's the feeling I have, because girl students are simply brilliant. Any university you go, toppers, gold medalist list, you will see 90% women candidates. So I want to get them more and more in science, and so that they can contribute for the national development, they can contribute for the benefit of the society, and world over, world will see that Indian women scientists have come forward to take up major responsibilities. That is the best part. And I must share here with you that I have met several international authorities when I was secretary. And every time I heard this, that they are very excited and happy to see that in India, women have been given a very major role. Whether it is women scientists or women technologists or entrepreneurs, they are playing a major role in the progress of the science, progress of the country overall. So I feel very sort of proud and very happy when I hear such remarks. And I feel that with the help of Dr. Shubhra Chakravarti, she's the director of an institute, and many others who will come forward, we will organize such events in future also. Thank you very much for your very valuable participation. And also, although I see the audience is really hardly, not even 50 people have been left, but still, whosoever is here, it shows their commitment and interest. So thank you very much. And I'll request Dr. Rohini Godbole to say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Manju Sharma. No, I really do not want to take any more time. We have had a long day, but we have had a long day of interesting discussions, some science, some sociological discussions, some issues, how we can go forward. And I think it's been a rewarding day in many ways. I am sure that this is just one step on a long journey for the women in STEM in India and women in general, not just women in STEM. And I myself look forward to a day when we don't talk of women scientists or women engineers or women technologists or women entrepreneurs, but we just talk of engineers, scientists, technologists, entrepreneurs that happen to be women. And however, I think to go to that land where we will be gender neutral, we all have to proceed, men and women, scientists and non-scientists, through a long path of being very aware of the differences and the need to remove those differences. And I think events like today express the commitment of the government, of the academic bodies, of the society, and of the interested people to the cause. So let's all wish for that, like Rabindranath Tagore's line, I would like to paraphrase it and say, in that heaven, O Lord, let my country arise. With this, let me close the proceedings.
So we close the event of today, and I wish all of you.
Madam.
Okay, now with the remarks of Dr. Rohini Godbole, all of you have heard now, everybody concerned with you and concerned with the science for women. We close this session and hope to see you sometime in near future. But before I close, I just want to read one statement of Kiran Majumdar Shah. All of you know Kiran Majumdar. She's a very well-known personality. To excel in science, women need an environment that understands their specific needs, trusts them, and support them. I believe the time today is just right for women scientists to flourish in India. All that is required is for the women to be innovative, use their instinct, intellect, resourcefulness, and sense of commitment. So I thought this is a very good statement, and we can all take the message from this Kiran's statement. And thank you very much, all.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma and Dr. Godbole, for this very, very rewarding session that we've had today, the whole day. And before we close, I request Dr. Pinky Agarwal, scientist at NIPGR, to propose a formal vote of thanks. Thank you.
At the outset, on behalf of DBT-NIPGR, I express my heartfelt appreciation to all the chairpersons and co-chairs of all the sessions for their wonderful insights. It was a pleasure to hear all the distinguished speakers who joined us today, either physically or online. We express our gratitude to the steering committee members, Dr. Manju Sharma, Professor Shobna Sharma, and Professor Rohini Godbole, and all the distinguished members of IAP, including the representatives from the government departments, namely DST, DBT, DAE, ICMR, CSIR, and ISRO, who were involved in IAP activities. This was a joint event of the three science academies, that is INSA, NASI, and ISC, which have extended their immense support. And hence, our sincere thanks are due to the executive directors and executive secretaries of the three academies, including the staff, especially Dr. Sunil Zokarkar. In the same vein, I would like to thank INSA for providing facilities, logistics, and accommodation and Shri Karthikeyan, the Assistant Executive Director to Informatics of INSA, for providing technical support and generating the web links for live streaming of the event. I express my appreciation for the fellows and members of the 3 academies, including the Women Fellows, who have joined us today. I thank all the participants from various colleges, institutes, and universities of Delhi, and other delegates, guests who have joined us today either online or offline. The entire team of NIPGR involved in creating the SWATI portal and its maintenance, including our director, Dr. Shubhra Chakrabarti, and scientist, Dr. Gitanjali Yadav, has to be immensely appreciated. Special thanks are due to the scientists, research scholars, and staff of NIPGR for their immense support in organizing today's program. It's about time I thank my colleague, Dr. Sabita Bhatia, for conducting today's program in an effortlessly smooth manner. We shall now proceed for high tea, and thereafter there'll be a cultural program by Spikmeke, which will be followed by dinner, and I request you to all to join for the same. Thank you.